lost weight only to gain it right back after returning to your routine? Did your diet work for someone else but not you? Rockin' That ID Life helps you understand your genetic makeup to find a lifestyle that fits your needs. Together, you and RockinThatIDLife.com can focus on your health and meet your goals today. That's RockinThatIDLife.com.
Center Ice Brewery is a proud sponsor of Let's Go Blues Radio. Visit centericebrewery.com today to schedule a no-contact curbside pickup or make a reservation in their awesome tap room. That's Center Ice Brewery, located in Midtown St. Louis. Let's go Blues! Welcome to Season 10, Episode 6 of Let's Go Blues Radio. We're the often imitated, never duplicated, discombobulated, rarely regulated, the original St. Louis Blues hockey podcast. Special thanks to RockinThatIDLife.com and CenterIceBrewery.com for proudly sponsoring the show. Please check them out. It's Tuesday, October 19th, and we're broadcasting live on YouTube and Facebook. This is franchise episode number 324 all time. Is that right? 2024? I think it is. To interact with the show, we're on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Just do a search for this. You'll find us. I'm your host, Kurt Price, and joining me tonight is Bill Day. And tonight we are talking some St. Louis Blues hockey. Bill, welcome to the show.
Thanks. Happy to be here. It's too bad Ponder can't be here tonight. He's not here because he's trying to serve Buchnevich's suspension. We told him it doesn't work that way, but he just wouldn't listen. So
he's a trooper.
He's a trooper. Such a diehard.
He's on his way to Toronto right now to talk to the war room about it. The player safety department. Yeah.
George Peros, look out! Here comes Ponder.
Yes. Just driving along his little car as fast as he can. Even though we're only 2 games into the season, we have a lot to unpack in this show. We'll talk about the season opener against Colorado and the interesting game that was, and then the game 2 of the season against Arizona, which was eventful in a number of ways. So, and along with you, we'll talk about Buchnevich, the headbutting incident, his suspension that was handed out today. We'll talk about all that on this episode. So, but first, the official beers in the Untapped app. Mine is at CPrice12. Jeff's is at JPonder94, and Bill's is Billy Blue Note 33. Bill, do you have a beverage of choice this show?
I do. Pint of the dark stuff. It is Perennials Shake the Frost Session Coffee Stout. I had a really good one lined up for tonight, but given that I'm on about 4.5 hours of sleep and about a half-hour nap, I figured, I would be slurring at this point in the show already. So we'll save that for next week. This one's just a middle of the road coffee stout. It's not going to hit you too hard. So only 5% ABV, but it's right for the season.
Only 5%. Yeah, mine is I have not had this since last season, and it's not a seasonal beer, I don't think. The Sam Adams Cherry Wheat.
Yeah.
I don't have my M&Ms with me to pair with this, but it's quite good. And I forgot to roll it before I opened it, and I can see some of the sediment, some of the wheat or whatever it is right down here,
down at the bottom.
Yeah, I usually turn it over and roll it a little bit to mix it up. And I forgot to right when I opened it. And it always happens with wheat beer. I'm like, open it up. Oh, it's a wheat beer. Shit. What's at the bottom? So it's about a 2/3 of the way down. I'll kind of have to mix it all up. But
yeah, definitely don't try that now.
First world problems.
For sure.
There we go.
I actually just had Sam Adams Oktoberfest. Out of all the Oktoberfest, mass market Oktoberfest,
I agree.
Still have 1 or 2 of those left, and I got their pumpkin. ale. I think it was Jacko something. It's pretty. It's okay as pumpkin beers go. So, but yeah,
I
if
do
I
agree.
have a second beer, it may be one of the.
They have is quite good. Today in Blues history, courtesy of the @STL Blues History Twitter account, October 19th, 1972, Barclay and Bob Plager involved in a fight at the Mainlander restaurant in Clayton over a bowl of soup. See, this is the kind of information you do not get on other podcasts, on the Blues podcast. You don't see this. The Plager's
if
fighting
STL Blues History did his own podcast,
right?
You'd get it.
Right, you would, but he does not. So
he does not, and generously allows us to.
Right, a friend of the show, actually. So yeah. But
friend of the show and neighbor of the ponder.
Neighbor of the ponder. There's an article there at STL Blues History. If you want to read the entire article, it's posted. He has it shared, which is pretty cool, on Twitter. So at STL Blues History, if you want to check that out. But it starts off for a few minutes around 9 o'clock. The cocktail lounge of the Mainlander restaurant at 7700 Bonhomme Avenue, Clayton, resembled one of those wild melees at the arena when one of the hockey blues. It's weird how they used to refer to players back in the day. One of the hockey blues, like there's another blues team in town, the baseball team. Like, it's not the football Cardinals and the baseball Cardinals.
Right. You have to think that's why they said it that way. Like, they're so used to saying this, the football Cardinals or the baseball Cardinals. It's not like
hockey blues,
the bowling blues. They can't confuse it with the bowling blues, or
maybe it's the music genre. I don't know if you.
Right.
You don't hear that anymore, though. Anyway, you don't hear the hockey blues. Takes exception to a move by an opposing player. The Plager brothers of the St. Louis Blues, known for their fighting as much as their skating, were among the principals, police said. Also allegedly involved was a bartender, Alfredo Castillo. Clayton police put a stop to the incident, but they're not really sure what happened. That's a good article. Anyway, there was a fight over a bowl of soup. So one thing is agreed upon: the fracas started over the spilling of a bowl of soup. Police were told that the Plager brothers were drinking at the bar. They and a woman employee were passing soup back and forth on the bar when some soup spilled on Bobby Plager. He got into an argument with Castillo. Police are uncertain what happened next. No exchange of blows, though. But Plager was cut by glass and treated at the St. Louis County Hospital. Castillo and Barclay Plager apparently were uninjured. So there you go. And there's more if you want to read the rest of it. So that's.
and if you enjoy reading that, you definitely have to read the Plager book. It's just
Tales from the Bench,
full of tales like that.
Yeah.
Just such a character.
Federico's book too.
We missed Bobby. Yeah,
Federico's book. Let's see. And October 19th, 1989, Bernie Federico made his first return to St. Louis as a member of the Detroit Red Wings. So that was
a nice little segue you did there.
Yeah. From Blues history to Blues history, right? Again, I love revisiting the Federico to Detroit trade. Because damn it, if we couldn't beat Detroit on the ice in their heyday in the 90s and early 2000s, then I think at least we can look back on this trade fondly, getting a player like Oates for Federico, even if it was just Oates for a few years. So, and before we get into the games versus Colorado and Arizona, we'll check in with our friends at ID Life.
It's safe to say that the Burn Box from RockinThatIDLife.com provides you with the sugar-bustingest, muscle-buildingest, mood-enhancingest, focus-inducingest, energy-boostingest experience. You not only get the excellent product, but you get recipes, menu options, a tracker, and program guide to assist you along your self-betterment journey. Based on your goals, you can double up on Slim Plus or Energy, or you can get one of each. With flavors such as mixed berry, tropical fruit, and orange, The Burn Box lets you enjoy the weight loss or muscle gain journey along the way. Become a VIP with rockinthatidlife.com and place your Burn Box on subscription and you'll save 20%. And as always, text
the roughest, toughest He-Man, toughest hombre has ever crossed the Rio Grande.
And our friend Dustin at 636-393-8745 and tell him Let's Go Blues Radio sent you to receive an additional 10% off your order.
Now all of you skunks, clear out of here.
And go over to rockinthatidlife.com.
You know, we talked about bumping the audio up, the volume of that last week, and we didn't do it. So
yeah,
it's been I have been so busy with work, with coaching soccer, and everything else. It's been a mess. So we had a soccer game tonight. Our last regular season game, and then playoffs are Thursday. So we hope that all day. I mean, well, if there's two possible playoff games on Thursday. If we win, best of top four make the playoffs. If we win the first round, we play again an hour and a half later, and that's it. So I love coaching soccer, but I'll be happy when that comes to an end because then I'll have some more free time to do some stuff because weeks have been crazy, and then doing the show too every week. On Wednesdays, we're trying to do it on Wednesdays. So, but trying to squeeze it in on a Tuesday or Thursday when there's a Blues game on a Wednesday, which is what it is this week. It's just crazy.
Yeah, early season schedule not cooperating so much.
No, there's 2 or 3 Wednesday games fairly early in the season, so we'll have to jump through some hoops. But my Tuesdays and Thursdays should be a little better after this Thursday. Anyway, game number 1, the season opener versus Colorado. Jake Neighbours got the start in the 4th line for the Blues. His first NHL start, played with Bozak and Neal. Perron was a game time decision with a lower body issue, but he was in the lineup at puck drop. Colorado was pretty shorthanded during this game, and whatever. Okay, so due to cap issues, cap, COVID, injury, and suspension issues, they only dressed 11 forwards and 17 skaters total. They were without McKinnon, who was out with due to COVID protocol. Jack Johnson, COVID protocol. Nichushkin, upper body. Devin Tays and Pavel Francouz. How do you pronounce that? Francouz? Francouz. I can't. Every time I see it, I think is it Francouz or Francouz? Anyway, both on IR. And Landeskog was serving the first of a 2-game suspension for boarding Blackhawk center Kirby Dach in their opener.
Which you may have heard here first.
Right. As it happened.
As it happened. We were doing our show. And definitely saw that was going to be a suspension and deservedly so. So, but yeah, Nice to start off against Colorado without, a lot of their big guns. That definitely helped.
Yeah, we only play them 3 times. So at the first time we play them, they're without a substantial chunk of their lineup. Was
2/3 of their top line.
Yeah, was nice. And they had some serious COVID protocol issues last season too. And I'm not sure what's in the Gatorade in Colorado, but they need to, apparently they need to wash the bottles out better or something. I don't know. That's apparently a problem. But they get no sympathy from me because, we were without our leading goal scorer in the playoffs last year against them due to COVID protocol. One of the best power play guys in the NHL, and David Perron. Plus, they took out Faulk in game 2, right? Game 2.
Yeah, Kyrou.
Right. Was our best defenseman last year. So they took out 2 of our top guys. They did. 2 of our top guys were out one was out for the entire series, and one was out for most of it. So no sympathy from me. Injuries happen, whatever. I'm not. We've had to deal with that against them last year, and it hurt us. So whatever.
And who happened to score for the Blues in this game?
Oh, that'd be Justin Faulk, who I think it was who Kadri knocked out.
And David Perron.
Yeah. So they were itching. So had they been in lineup last playoffs, and they both scored. And
We
who
might
knows?
have eked out one win.
We
I
might
don't
have won
know.
a game or two. I don't know. I mean, who knows? If you win one or two, and then you never know what can happen. But anytime you miss a key guy, like last year, we're missing Pareko, a healthy Pareko for almost the entire season, and he was our number one guy, supposed to be the number one defenseman. Faulk stepped up and played admirably well, but without Pareko, Jesus, I mean, that's
Right.
It sucks. So, but speaking of Kadri, Shen fought Kadri 40 seconds into this game as payback for his dirty hit on Faulk, which we just talked about. Which did help the Blues sweep, help the Avs sweep the Blues. Kadri was suspended for what ended up being the remainder of the playoffs for them as they were bounced in the next round. But gotta love Shen. I hadn't really put a whole lot of thought into this, into the Faulk hit coming into this game. But then as soon as Shen dropped him with Kadri, I'm like, good.
Right.
That's obvious payback.
Gotta love those beauty veterans that have long memories.
Yeah.
Make rivalries, all the better. That's awesome to see. And then, awesome later to see Shen score and have apparently dislocated finger while doing it.
Well, it was just a bad cramp. Because you can get you ever had a cramp in your?
Yeah.
And you're, my God.
Get them all the time.
Well, I haven't had them all the time, but one time I had one during a game, and it was my thumb had locked up, and it was like against my palm like that, and I couldn't. I couldn't pull my thumb away from the palm of my hand. I had to reach with my other hand and pull it out. I mean, it was really. I mean, when your muscles cramp up, I think you kind of realize how strong your muscles can be. Because I'm like, holy hell, I can't pry my finger away. And so, I mean, he had to do a treatment for it. But apparently a lot of the Blues were cramping up in this game a little bit, or at least somewhere. Could have been, the altitude, could have been a number of things, could have been, but even though they went on their trip, before the season started up to Vail, to help with that, part of that was to, not accumulate, acclimate, to accumulate to the area, which was supposed to be beneficial, but apparently not to Shen's thumb or finger. It looked to be his ring finger or his middle finger, one of the two. We're like it's kind of weird. It looked dislocated, and that's what the speculation was from the broadcast team too.
Right. The look on Bushnevich's face when he showed it to him was pretty priceless.
Yeah. I think it was Barbashev maybe, or I don't know who was out there at the time, but when we went to celebrate, he pulled his hand out of his glove and he showed him how his finger was kind of bent funny. And I don't know if the Blues player who did this thought it was, he went to grab it. And Shen's like, no. So yeah, goofy. I said a few seasons ago when people were predicting that Shen was going to get traded. I think it was the year Stasny got traded. Was it not when the Blues lost last game of the season to Colorado to miss the playoffs, and that was the year that people were saying that wanting Shen traded at the deadline, thinking he wasn't going to be signed, and get something for him, all this stuff. And I was like, man, no, I mean, I want them to try and keep Shen. I'd like to see Shen stick around for a while, and I'm so glad he did. I love Shen as a player. I mean, if O'Reilly wasn't here, he'd be a great choice for captain. But you can make a point that his contract is probably too long that he signed. But whatever. I'll worry about the last couple of years of that contract when they happen. Not concerned at all about it now, but it is what it is. But that's a long ways away. I'm not going to worry about it now. So anyway, Blues jump out to a 3-0 lead in this game on goals by Faulk, the aforementioned Faulk, and our aforementioned Shen and Braun as well. And Shen beat the defenseman he beat was Curtis McDermott, who was scratched in their opener versus Chicago, but dressed to replace Johnson in this game.
Jack Johnson.
Right. Yeah. Right. not Eric. But so that was a nice thing that, you know, Shen's coming in on him, who wouldn't be playing otherwise.
Right.
But and then for a while, like we talked about, we thought Shen had a dislocated finger, but learned it was a hand cramp apparently, or so it was said after the fact. Like I think I heard that today or yesterday. I think Panger talked about it, that it was actually a cramp.
Yeah, during the game yesterday.
Yep. So Burakovsky got the Avs on the board with 6 minutes to go in the second period to cut the lead 3-1. Then Perron scored his second of the game, made it 4-1, 6:51 into the third, and that looked like it was going to do it. You know, 4-1 lead after the Avs made it 3-1. You come back, make it 4-1. You're like, okay, good. They answered the goal, perfect, right? Then Tyson Jost and JT Comfer scored at 14:36 and 16:18, pretty close together. What, a minute and a half apart, something like that. Both with the goalie pulled for the extra tagger. And it looked like Jost had tied the game for the Avs.
The game, right?
Yeah, with under 3 minutes left, with the goalie pulled again. I'm sitting there watching. I'm like, you be fucking kidding me. But replay showed it was kicked in, and then they didn't give a good look at this kick in until like the fourth replay.
Right.
The overhead and the angle from the left, from the near boards, wasn't giving you the look that you needed. You needed to look from the far boards, or I know from behind the goal. Actually, I think it was right. So, or in the goal, one of the two. But then you could see his back foot, his right skate, slid forward and kicked. Forward. Sure, yeah, it's swept it in basically. Which and the goal in the NHL season opener between Vegas and Seattle, where Vegas scored.
Right, the game winner.
Yeah. This goal was not, to me, as much as a kicking motion as that thing was.
Yeah.
But I mean, this thing was obviously a kick.
Close.
Yeah, I don't understand that game's goal that they allowed. They reviewed it. They said it stood. I'm like, what? No one understood that. No one. That was one of the worst calls I think I've ever seen. I mean, top 10 worst calls I think I've ever seen, as far as like the implications that it had in the game too. You know, it decided the game, and it was a nationwide game. You know, Seattle's first game as a franchise, and they were screwed out of an opportunity to get at least a point. So anyway, yeah.
It's a nice way to send an early message that, hey, you're not our darlings. Vegas still is. Yeah,
I don't. Yeah, I just, it doesn't make any sense to me that. And then okay, so and you know, the league talked about, and it's talked about at scoutingtherefs.com, which is a fantastic site. If you haven't been there, check it out. But they have essentially the rule book there, and they break down rules, commonly discussed rules to basically interpret rules. It's fantastic. But they talked about the way the NHL redefined a goal going in off a skate or being kicked in, that it has to be a distinct kicking motion. And when they redefined that, that was an attempt to allow more goals to go in off the skates. And you know, the broadcast crew of the Seattle and Vegas game, I thought did a terrible job of breaking that down. But I thought, knowing that about the rule, that they wanted to allow more goals off of skates, just not to be blatantly kicked in, I thought, even when I saw the replay, that the good view of this goal being kicked in, I'm thinking, I don't know. I mean, I don't know anymore, because in any review now, it's like, who knows? Because I was thinking about that goal that was allowed in the Seattle Vegas game. It was like, that's the first thing I thought of. I'm like, that goal wasn't kicked in as, I mean, those goal was kicked in more than this one was, and they allowed that one. So I'm like, I don't know. I mean, it shouldn't be based on the rule book, but who knows? And then they just allowed it, and I was like, wow. I was like, oh, it's the right call, but it sucks when it's a coin flip, but on first review, you're like, it shouldn't be a goal because it's obviously kicked in. But in reality, you're thinking you have no idea. It's odd.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just hoping that this year there is a little more sanity to replays, and to get that initial game ended like that didn't give me a lot of hope. So we'll
Yeah.
hope they trend in the right direction. And in fact, I was totally expecting the Joe goal to be ruled a goal because of that.
Yeah.
And I'm pleasantly surprised that they got it right. I guess it wasn't as late a start.
8:00, right?
The war room might still have been awake.
Yeah, they didn't have an overnight crew there.
Right.
Yeah, if you've been to fast food places where the overnight crew is there, you're getting the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
So if it's the same, but I saw very little upset Avalanche fans over that call. They were like, yeah, it was kicked in. I mean, it looked kicked in. So, and then O'Reilly did ice the game with an empty netter in the Blues 5-3 win. I was actually really hoping that, remember McKinnon's empty net goal, one of his many against us in the playoffs last year. I think it was the third or fourth game where he skated in and just ripped a wrister as hard as he could into the open net from like 6 feet out.
Yep.
Like halfway up the net, like to just bury the empty netter. And when I saw that, I was like, well, that's kind of that's not very nice.
Yeah.
I didn't like it.
I think
I didn't like it.
the announcers were all, well, Nathan McKinnon doesn't do anything half-assed. He does everything at top speed.
Whatever. I commented after that goal that last year that, I mean, he bears down on his stick and he lets a whip wrister go. I'm like, what if he breaks his shaft on that shot?
Right.
Then
right, then, you're close to becoming Patrick Stefan Redux.
Right, and you get chewed out by
Ray
Ferraro. Yeah, as the most I forgot what he called it. I have kind of been critical of Ray Ferraro for that, because the puck
friend of the show,
friend of the show, Ray Ferraro, good guy, but he was harsh. He was harsh on him because the puck hopped on the ice, and he wasn't trying to be fancy. He was just trying to I don't know. That's pretty harsh.
Yeah, I think that was
he should be embarrassed.
Right, a former teammate letting it get out there a little too much. Right,
probably. You're probably right. But I was hoping O'Reilly would, to just snap it in as hard as he could from in close. That's what I thought of when he was going in. I really did. But I thought, he's going to do it. He's going to do it.
Pull a Sammy Blay and wind up for a slapper on the breakaway.
He had a guy handling him, though, from behind fairly close. So
yeah. He did the right thing.
And O'Reilly's not. Yeah, and O'Reilly's not that kind of guy. He's not going to try and show anybody up. So, whatever. And okay, so after this game, there was mixed emotions online. So the Blues went into Colorado. They beat Colorado. Yeah, they were shorthanded. They were missing some significant guys, but they allowed Colorado to come back and damn near tie the game in a game that they had a 4-1 lead in the third period. But so a lot of fans are upset at the Blues almost blown the lead, and rightfully so. You're not happy about blowing the lead like that. But man, some people were like, it feels like a loss. I'd rather while they were in the process of losing their lead, people were saying that's I want to see them lose now just to teach them a lesson. And I'm like, okay, so here's my take on that. I'm like, I don't care how they won. I don't care if they had won 8-0. If they were up 8-0 and lost and won 8-7, allowing 3 or 4 goals in the final minute and a half to hold on, I don't care. Colorado hadn't lost at home in 18 straight games. You go into Colorado and not in regulation. Sorry, they lost in overtime 1. They were 17-0-1, and so I don't care how you win. It doesn't matter. You got 2 points in regulation, so they didn't get any. Against a division rival, a team that's picked to win the cup by almost everybody, and you come out of there with 2 points in regulation, in what for the most part was a pretty damn good played game by them, And again, Colorado was significantly shorthanded. I understand that, but again, I don't care. I don't care.
No, you can't root against your team to lose because they had a bad stretch, not in the season opener, right? You know, if they're mired in the middle of a slump and that play is continuation of the slump play that got them there, yeah, I'd say at that point, maybe those comments are more appropriate. But season opener against a team actually out of the playoffs, no matter what the circumstances are, you come away with points that they that's huge.
Yeah, and that's the way I felt very good about the game after they lost. I mean, yeah, they allowed Colorado to come back, but they won. They won the game in regulation. They didn't like collapse and allow the Avalanche to get a point. That didn't happen. They did hold on. I mean, the goal was kicked in. It didn't count. So you can't even say that Colorado tied it. They didn't tie it. They didn't count. They kicked it in. So and if it becomes a trend, as the season goes on. I mean, last season we had some issues with this too. So yes, I mean, this kind of thing, you enjoy the victory, but you address the matter after the fact. You're like, hey, great win, but look, this is what happened late. So it didn't happen again, even though it did happen again, kind of, against Arizona, the very next game.
Yeah.
Which,
who I think it was Kyle Foxton, who is in the same boat with me as far as not being a hitch lover, said had a very sarcastic tweet about you're telling me a St. Louis team associated with Ken Hitchcock went into a defensive shell and almost lost, something to that effect.
But you know what? This has been addressed by Berube, okay, last season, and he has said that the game plan is not to go into a shell.
Go back in a shell.
It's not. The game plan is not to do that. It's just a it's kind of
an instinctive
ingrained.
reaction.
It's ingrained in you as a player to bar the door and protect the lead. I think that's just in your head. You don't want to take chances. You don't want to get caught out of position. You want to play it safe. And I think that, and you're changing the style of game that you're playing that has gotten you to the point in the game that you're at. And I think that is detrimental sometimes to a team, that they change the style and all of a sudden it's not working as well as your previous methods were, and the other team can get a goal and get some momentum and maybe get back into it. So, but I think, the people that do like to criticize the coaching for like a collapse, at least Berube has said, whether he's being truthful or not, that remains to be seen. But he did say that is not the game plan. We don't coach that. It's just things that players do, and all teams do it. It happens to a lot of teams where they just, players come back, they go into a shell, and they try to hold on to a lead, and a team comes back. They say the most dangerous lead in hockey is a 2-goal lead. They say that for a reason, because teams come back. That's what happens sometimes.
No. Well, for the Blues in the Colorado game, it was almost a 3-goal lead.
Right.
It was most dangerous, but thank God it was a 3-goal lead.
I know, right?
But yeah, to cap off your point about Berube, he obviously was completely lost his shit on the bench after that. The disastrous start to the third last night.
Yep.
Giving up those goals. I mean,
Good.
That isn't part of the game plan. And yeah, love seeing that, and hopefully that'll be the GIF for Berube instead of Ken Hitchcock's "fuck me." It'll be Berube's "let's fucking go."
You know what? Yeah, right. And there's something to be said too for a player getting chewed out on the ice during a timeout, as opposed to getting chewed out in the locker room in between periods after a game or during practice when there's no press and there's no eyes on everybody. You don't have 18,000 eyes on you in the arena, along with television cameras and everything too. It's so getting chewed out in the heat of the moment by your coach should have a more profound impact than otherwise you would think. But before we get into the second game of the season versus Arizona, where we will discuss Brewery chewing out his team, our friends at Center Ice Brewery have a message for us. Center Ice Brewery is St. Louis's only hockey-themed brew house. Stop on in during the next game to experience the ultimate hockey fan brewery while sampling various hockey-inspired beers, such as Old Arena Lager, the Beauty IPA, the Rotating Pale Ale Series, or seasonal offerings such as their Imperial Stout, their Lime Sherbet Sour, and much more. While you're there enjoying any number of their fantastic beverages, you can admire the bar top and tables made of authentic arena wood and the actual penalty box door from the old barn. Located at 3126 Olive Street in Midtown St. Louis, it's one of the best places to watch a Blues game, or any game. Visit centericebrewery.com today to schedule a no-contact curbside pickup or make a reservation in the tap room. Center Ice Brewery. Let's go Blues. Please drink responsibly. We got a few comments in the YouTube chat. Bill, do you have Facebook up?
I do not.
Okay. I don't know if there's I'm not sure if there's anybody in there.
I can never figure out. I'm
You can't figure out the Facebook?
I spent probably 45 minutes just scrolling through Facebook last night, and that is probably the most I've been on Facebook combined in 2 years. I don't spend time there, so I could never figure out how to get to our show in the comments in Facebook. So
it's just Facebook. You search for Let's Go Blues Radio, and after the show starts, the video is streaming there on the on our main page. So, but Brian Rugelman says it's weed. I'm not sure what that's in reference to. I missed that one.
I couldn't figure it out even when he first posted it.
Maybe he's on some right now, and that's the reason.
Yeah.
Rodney Hale says tomorrow is going to be tough without Booch. Oh, and the Avs are garbage. Their fans would probably say they played like garbage the first part of that game.
Yeah. And I'm sure we'll do a bit of a preview about tomorrow against Vegas, but Vegas also doesn't have Pacioretty and they won't have Stone. So
what a shame. What a shame.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah. Can't wait for Bozak to finally take his revenge.
Will he ever? I mean, Bozak's not that kind of guy. I mean,
no, he won't. Maybe this will be the Braden Shen Revenge Your Teammates tour, like David Backes fighting all the Canadian captains back in the Sochi year.
Yeah. Let's see. And I guess in the first game of the season last season, we kind of whooped up on the Avs a bit in that game. And unfortunately, we played them the very next game in a home, and they smoked us.
Got curb stomped.
Bad, yeah. So it's nice to have the regular schedule back in play, to play them once and GTF out of town.
Yep.
Take the win.
Except for LA next week. That's odd.
Saturday
and Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Darren Grice says, why didn't Kraus, I guess I meant to say Kraus, get suspended for cross-checking someone in the face, which we'll talk about in a minute here. So game 2 versus Arizona. Costin sat out the first game, but he is penciled in this game in place of James Neal, who is sitting. In the first game, I thought Neal looked all right. I think it was a -1, but I didn't really have any issues with the way Neal played necessarily. But Costin's in regardless, and Arizona scored first in this game. Clayton Keller, again, against the Blues on the power play in the first period. Dude scores against us every single time we play them.
Local boy does good.
I don't. Yeah. I mean, good for him and everything, but and good for him with his contract, by the way. His contract is stupid.
Yeah.
A little much for him. Isn't it like $7 million per?
Yeah.
Sure.
Phoenix needs to get to the floor. And if you could eat up a big chunk, him and Chikrin probably are like 30% of their entire cap. I haven't looked at it, but
it's good work if you can get it, I guess. Man, make your money there in Arizona, and then when you want to win, sign for a reduced rate somewhere else because you've already got your bank, right? Bushnevich's first goal as a Blue ties the game up less than 2 minutes later. A beautiful saucer set up from Kyrou on a 2-on-1. Thought he was going to shoot for sure.
Yeah.
Kyrou on this.
Yeah. And so did was it Labushkin or whoever the defender was.
Yeah.
Looked bad.
Yeah, he didn't take the pass or the shooter, so it was kind of like, and the saucer was able to just go over his stick and right to Bushnevich, and who buried the thing. And then came the Bushnevich's headbutt on Kraus, which Darren Grice asked about in YouTube chat. This came after Kraus cross-checked Bushnevich twice up high. The second one of which, now the camera angle is from kind of behind, but it looks like it gets him in the neck or in the side of the head. Bushnevich, who is a repeat offender, who was suspended for cross-checking last season or earlier this year, who is had a phone hearing with the Department of Player Safety today and was suspended for 2 games. So missed the game versus Vegas on Wednesday night, which pisses me off because that's a good, solid test of the season. Even though we talked about Pacioretty being out and missing a couple guys, but still, whatever. A good team. You want to play well against them and put your best foot forward, and not having a key guy is gonna that kind of sucks. But it is what it is. And he'll miss also the home opener versus LA on Saturday. He'll forfeit $141,463.42 in salary, and that'll go towards the Players Emergency Assistance Fund. Man, $141,000 for playing 2 hockey games. Probably what? I don't know, 36 minutes of ice time, something like that.
Yeah.
Holy hell.
We didn't try hard enough is what our was.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know, man. Shoot. Yeah, they weren't making enough back then to motivate us to work harder, right?
Right. Exactly.
The $150,000 a year that it made was not good enough.
Yeah, all that time we spent at the rink and thinking that we had to keep paying for it. Just a little bit more effort.
Yeah.
I'm sure
yes, that's all it would have taken was just a little bit more effort. That's all. Just a little bit more. Just a little bit. Instead of screwing around.
Canadian hockey fan ever.
Right. No hearing for Kraus on the play, which has kind of outraged a lot of people, and rightfully so. If you watch the entire sequence here, the whole reason the headbutt happens, which granted was stupid. It was this dumb thing to do. You don't do that.
Right.
And is rightfully suspended for it.
Right. But Kraus should also have had at least a hearing, right?
He got
That's the frustrating thing. I get on the ice when somebody you get the guy that retaliates, but when it comes to dangerous plays like cross-checking people in the neck or face, that you don't let the initiator get away with it just because the second guy did something stupid. You can suspend them both.
And he went after Bushnevich. Bushnevich didn't seek Kraus out, and they said that
he was the aggressor, and Bushnevich, reacted, and it's just
they tried to play it off like Kraus was reacting to something Bushnevich did over by the bench, and they showed the replay. I'm like, he didn't do anything. He skated between 2 players, and he may have clipped somebody trying to go by, but there was nothing there. I didn't see anything there, unless I'm looking at the wrong thing. But then he went over to Bushnevich a little bit later, and then after the whistle, and just cross-check, and the second one was up high, like in the shoulders, the other one like got in the neck or the head, and I was like, what the hell? And then I don't see, because the headbutt comes from somewhere, and when we talked, he was rightfully suspended for that. But how do you not? I mean, Kraus got a penalty for cross-checking in that play, that sequence, I believe, and so why not review that? I don't get it. It makes sense to me.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm perusing Twitter, and I did not watch the Wild and Jets game, but apparently it was an amazing overtime, capped off by a Joel Eriksson hat trick game winner. But there's a fight between Brendan Dillon and Marcus Foligno, and Foligno jumps and punches, like leaves both feet and punches. And,
wow.
Whoever said Marcus Foligno just Superman punched Brendan Dillon. It's pretty incredible. I don't think I've ever seen that in a hockey game.
You didn't see me get punched and get knocked the fuck out when I was on the bench that time.
No, I did not.
I do believe it was kind of that same kind of thing. Superman jumped over the boards and punched me in the face. So
I missed all those games.
I didn't see it, but I hear that's what happened.
I'll retweet that in case anybody wants to catch it.
So the speaking of that,
not you getting punched, but
right, I assumed. So speaking of the Wild and Jets, the Jets are now 0-2-1, right? And the Blackhawks also played tonight. They played the Islanders. They got beat 4-1 by the Islanders, and they're 0-3-1. So
right.
all these the preseason hype. I mean, it's early. It's really early in the season. 4 games in for some teams,
right.
but that ridiculous preseason talk that we discussed last season, preseason hype for the Hawks, about how a lot of people are picking them to make the playoffs and finish ahead of the Blues, and the Blues to miss the playoffs. I mean, yes, we are really early in the season. Not trying to say that this is how it's going to play out, but it's
now all
funny
the
right
talk is Jeremy Colleton's going to be the first coach fired. So Dmitry Filipovic tweeted earlier that the Hawks have played 242 minutes of hockey and trailed 193 of those minutes.
Yeah.
And the Canadiens, I will say that I have not attempted to watch a Canadiens game yet this year. I did have the first game on while I was working in the other room, but I'm still a little pissed about the off season they had. They are just as bad. I think they're apart from them leading in that first game for about 10 minutes. They've trailed the rest of the way. There are some abjectly poor hockey teams in the NHL right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, Chicago is currently in last place in Central. Minnesota beating Winnipeg has moved them to 3-0, like I mentioned, and above St. Louis now, because St. Louis has only played 2 games. So
yeah.
They have 6 points compared to 2. St. Louis does have the better goal differential at +5, best goal differential in the Central Division. So say what you will about blowing the leads and whatnot, but in 2 games they have a +5. So
right, and that +5 came in one period against the Arizona Coyotes last night.
Right, yeah, I get it, and so which it's a nice little segue into well, while we're still on the tails of the cross check and the suspension and the headbutt. 2 days ago, Calgary's Rasmus Anderson was fined $5,000, which is the most he could have been fined under the CBA for roughing Edmonton's Yamamoto. So a lot of people were calling this a headbutt. Have you seen the replay of that, Bill? Have you seen the play of this?
I did not.
It's kind of hard to tell. It looks like there might have been an attempt at one there, and he may have got him with one. It's hard to tell on the camera angle that I saw. But and I got a link there for you if you want to take a look. But it's he got $5,000. I don't believe he was he was a previous offender, so that's part of the reason probably why he was fined $5,000. Also, he may not have actually headbutted him. Yeah, I think he got him for roughing. They said for roughing Edmonton's Yamamoto. So he didn't. They determined he didn't even headbutt the guy. But that's been the thing on social media where they're comparing Buchnevich's headbutt to Anderson's headbutt, which may not have been a headbutt. So Kraus after that put the Coyotes up 2-1, of course, right? It's Kraus, who probably shouldn't have been in the game at that point.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, he shouldn't have been there, and Marcos Candela wasn't. He was playing the role of turnstile. Not sure what he was doing with his positioning on that. Just not cutting off that pass coming out. It looked like he got turned around the wrong way, but not a good look. Giving up that slot that easy.
Then the fun started for the Blues. 5 quick goals in the second period. With the Blues trailing 2-1 midway through the second, they started to pour it on for about 5 minutes. And the Santa 5:07, the Blues had goals from Faulk, which came on the power play, Kyrou, Costin again, and Kyrou again. And Kyrou's was his second goal, right? The highlight reel goal, the one where he danced.
Yeah, I'm watching it right now.
Oh.
Yeah, dance gots to spare.
Oh,
and, yeah,
just nasty. Those 5 goals occurred in 5:07 of the third fastest 5 goals in franchise history. The quickest 5 goals in franchise history was in 3 seconds faster. 5 minutes 4 seconds on January 31st, 1995 versus Anaheim. And the second fastest was 5:05 on December 26th, 1985 versus Chicago, when they still played the Hawks one day after Christmas. Remember those times, those days, the Hawks, the day after Christmas?
Right. We didn't call it that, but the Boxing Day matchup against the Hawks.
Yeah, right.
Loved it.
Yeah. I wish they would go back to that. And I remember the year that it didn't happen. I was like, because as a kid, at the time you're off school, it's Christmas break, and your Christmas is amazing, and you're like, tomorrow's Blues and Hawks. Tomorrow's Blues and Hawks. So it's like you get to enjoy all your gifts as a kid, and you get to hang out, and usually new hockey gear, whatever, you're wearing it while you watch the game.
Totally.
which was common. I mean, okay, Bill, be honest. How many times watching a hockey game on TV did you put your equipment on and you're just like screwing with stuff? I did
all the time.
All the time. I'd work on
All
my
the time.
skates. I'd work on my gloves, or I'd tape my stick, or I would just have my stick in my hands with my gloves, just like fiddling with a puck, or just while watching the game. That was just what I did.
Usually it was my glove, my trapper, trying to work to make sure I get the right the right pocket going on. Either put a softball or a baseball in there, and just mess around with it, and then realize that smells really, really bad. Shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, I know, right? You put the gloves on, and it's like bad. I think I said before on the show that my last pair of gloves, I have made it a really consistent effort after I play to air them out. Spray them with Febreze, stick the dryer sheets in them, and let them air out. They don't stay in the bag. And I'll be damned, those gloves, I mean, I've had them for a while. They're borderline pleasant on the smell. It's unusual. So anyway, the 2 goals by Costin were 47 seconds apart. Is the fastest 2 goals by a Blues player since Keith Tkachuk, who scored 2 goals 33 seconds apart on November 1st, 2001 versus Carolina. Jordan Kyrou is the 4th St. Louis Blues player with 6 points in the first 2 games of a season. The others are Adam Creighton, which is odd, 1995, Kevin Miller, 94, and then Shanahan, 94. So the high-flying days of the mid-90s. The Blues have 3 representatives for 6 points in the first 2 games of the season. Creighton, Miller, and Shanahan.
Hate that Adam Creighton's on that list.
I know, me too. It's kind of like, you want to say, hey, Kyrou's in great company there with Shanahan, and okay, Miller, he was all right. But then Creighton?
Yeah.
What?
Keenan's first signing.
Ugh. Like a big guy that didn't play big and just, lanky and awkward, weird.
Slow.
Slow. Didn't really do anything well. It's just okay everywhere. Yeah. So Arizona trailed 6-2 heading into the third. They scored a couple of goals in the first 8 minutes by Christian Fischer and Travis Boyd to make it a game for a few minutes. This is when Berube called the timeout and rightfully chewed the team out on the bench. And Arizona was, they were coming at the Blues in waves. The Blues weren't pressing. They were sloppy for a little bit. Their puck management wasn't good. They were getting the puck. They weren't getting the puck deep. No pressure, and they just let the Kyrous come at them. And it was and a couple went in. And then you're like, damn, this is back-to-back games. And then, you get a bunch of people who are all upset and like, this is a trend. I'm like, 2 games is not a trend. I get that you don't want to see it, especially against, a Colorado team that is not at full strength by any means, and Arizona, who is picked to finish near the bottom of the league. So you want to have a better showing of a full 60 minutes, which I hate. I hate that phrase. Teams don't play full 60 minutes. Nobody does. Every team has go through lulls. It's just the way it is. I hate that when when another team comes back at you and they score a goal or 2 in a game, and fans are like, "See, not playing a full 60 minutes. Damn it, they never do it. You got to play a full 60." I'm like, nobody ever plays a full 60. That's not really a good way to say it. That's not a good phrase. No, it's hard. You play a full 60 every game, you're going to be a cup champion. I mean, every year.
It is potentially the most overused hockey coach cliche, right? At this point,
I think it's a lazy way to analyze a game, a breakdown. Not playing a full 60. Well, that's very generic and stupid to say. And players say it though, and players will say all kinds of stuff. Players don't get into X's and O's and too much detail in post-game press conferences. It's all like, he's got to play a full 60. We got to get back at it. You got to keep playing the way we're playing. Just fluff, nonsense stuff. It doesn't mean anything. But the full 60 thing is, it always annoys me because it's like, teams rarely play a full 60, even the best teams. It just doesn't happen. So you go through lulls. It's ebbs and flows of a game. It's just the way hockey is. The other team you're playing, they're a professional hockey team, and they're going to either get pissed or get momentum from something, and they're gonna play well for a little while in the game. It's just the way it works. It's not because necessarily because you're not playing a full 60. It's just the other team's pretty good too. They have some good players. They're going to play good once in a while. So Barbashev's goal at 12:25 kind of spoiled any ideas of a comeback that Arizona may have had. Blues win this one 7-4. Blues were 1 for 2 on the power play. They're 50% for the season, 3rd overall. 3 for 4 on the PK, 85.7% for the season, 10th overall. And they outshot Arizona 33-26. I think the penalty kill stats right now, granted, extremely early, 2 games, small sample size, whatever. But a little misleading too, because I think a couple of goals were given up right as the penalty
immediately
expired.
After, right?
Yeah, so
right.
it's not didn't count.
Technically not a power play goal, but
you were shorthanded.
Realistically, it is.
Yeah,
right?
your guy was not back into play yet. So, yeah. And they outshot Arizona 33-26. So after the first 2 games, Bill, your thoughts on a number of players here? Some of these guys you were want to key on to start before the season started. We wanted to see how Kyrou was going to play in his year after his semi-breakout season last year, right? If Costa made the team, how is he going to play if he plays? How's Faulk going to play after his good last season? Perron with getting up there in age, I guess, and can he repeat what he did last year? The new guy Bushnevich, Thomas has had a down season. How is he going to play this year? Neighbours is first, all kinds of Binnington. How is he going to play? It's always the goaltender is always on the microscope anyway. Tarasenko with his shoulder and how healthy is he? How's he going to look? And Parayko coming off last year being hurt. All kinds of people to focus on. So does anybody stand out to you, good or bad so far? Obviously a couple are pretty good, but what do you think?
Right. Kyrou now has completely, with his play last season and the beginning of this year, he is eclipsed Robert Thomas as the most exciting young player on the team. Thomas has still got so much potential and, probably a much better passer. But right now, I think Kyrou's all-around game is he so far obviously 6 points plus 5. Through 2 games, been the best player on this team. The highlight reel goal that we talked about on Dresden Gostisbehere and just an absolutely great start to the season. Want to see him keep it up. Costin getting in the lineup. I think he's going to be a huge key to this team in terms of depth scoring, and to get him in there and him get those 2 goals, on the same shift, just amazing. Great to see. I think with Buchnevich, obviously bad judgment, retaliating with a headbutt. After he looked good. I hate to see him out for any time. I think him being out of the lineup means that James Neal's going to get back in. I think if Buchnevich is not suspended, then Neal's going to sit a couple more games. I don't think that you would have taken Costin out after his performance last night. I don't think you'd take Jake Neighbours out.
Yeah.
I think Neighbours is showing the little things, right? And I'm sure before too long we're going to start hearing, comparisons to Jaden Schwartz or somebody like that, right? He does all the little things well. He got wrestled to the ice by Jacob Chikrin last night, and it looked like a pretzel for
What the fuck?
When they got back to the bench, he did not back down. He chirped. Time.
Yeah, that was great. Chirping.
And you'll love to see that. You love to see resilience, not afraid of playing up at this level. As an 18-year-old, he's doing everything he can to make the statement that he wants to stay here. I definitely wouldn't take him out of the lineup once, unless he has a really bad game. The next 2 nights, I keep him going. Right, at this point with Buchnevich suspended, I think he's got to play the next 2 games. If he has one bad game in there, maybe he comes out against the Monday game against LA. But yeah, there's lots of good stuff going on. Don't like Bennington's save percentage. Those 2 goals in the third period dropped them below 900 last night. I think it's more about team. I mean, the goals that we get against Colorado, he's fighting, and the team is just collapsing around him. And I think if they can get that straightened out, his numbers will go back up. Love to see him at a 9.15. Probably going to be close to a 9.10, 9.11 most of the season.
Yeah, I think his career numbers right now are about 9.15, I believe. But and I want to comment on Tarasenko. In the 2 games that he's played, coming back and prove it, one of the more high-profile prove it seasons that we've seen in forever for him. Such a big deal. And while he has been noticeable out there and has had some chances, he's missing something from where he needs to be. He's either a step slow. His little cutback spin move thing that he does wasn't fooling anybody when he tried it last game against Arizona. I think he had a couple of good shots last game, but I assume they'll start going in for him a little bit. But he needs to do more. He needs to generate more. And I've said my one gripe on him has always been that it takes him too long to get his wrist shot off. He does the whole corral, backhand forehand, and then lets it go every time. And when he does that, he gets off a great shot. It's just you're allowing that the defense and the goaltender to get in proper position. That extra half second or second makes a big difference. So you got to see more out of him. I would say he's been disappointing so far in 2 games. Liked Parayko so far. Neighbours, I agree with you. Like Neighbours a lot. He is doing little things. He only has 1 assist so far, but he's been, when I've noticed him, he's like, hey, nice play. Hey, nice play. Not making mistakes out there, so that's good to stay in the lineup. And Perron, is deadly again this year. So, and Faulk, I think.
I was going to say with Perron, I tweeted out during the Avalanche game, is there a better right-handed shot at going blocker side in the NHL right now. I mean, he picks just inside that post 3/4 of the way up every time, and it's a pretty unstoppable shot.
He's gotten so good. I mean, most of the time, guys aren't getting better with age, right? Because he is how old is he? He is 33, so he's not exactly young. He's not exactly old either. 33 is not too bad, but I think people make a big deal about his age. But 33 is not too old. He's still got a couple of good years left. But no, love Perron's play so far. Costin was great to see him get 2 goals in just over 10 minutes of ice time. So, and obviously Kyrou goes out without saying how good he's been. And Bennington, I think, has been good. I mean, his numbers aren't reflecting. It's a small sample size. But yeah, I mean, team wise, that save percentage needs to be above 9, well above 9, like 9, 10 plus. That'd be nice. I haven't really had a problem with Bennington's goals that he's allowed. I mean, usually you look at goals and you say, "Oh, should have had that one," or a bad play. I haven't really, nothing's sticking out to me that like a softie that he's had yet, even though he's got a sub 9 save percentage and a 3.5 GAA. So next up for the Blues is tomorrow night, Wednesday night in Vegas, and they're without Pacioretty and who was the other one?
Our good friend Mark Stone.
Mark Stone, yes. So they'll be shorthanded, which is great. We'll be without Buchnevich. So it'll be, and I assume Bennington gets to start. Looking at the schedule here, let me pull up the schedule here. I was going to look to see when Husso might get a start. Let's see the schedule for the Blues. We got. Okay, so Vegas on Wednesday, LA at home. You think he plays the second game in the back-to-back against LA?
Well, it's 2 nights apart.
I mean, not back-to-back, but
right.
I mean, yeah.
Right. Yeah, that would be I think the first chance he gets.
I think he has to.
Yeah. Well, I don't think he has to.
Well, because Colorado
depends on how Bennington's doing,
I guess.
Right?
But you got Colorado coming up that following Thursday, which Bennington's going to be in net.
But still have 3 days off in between, so
2 days off.
2.
Well, the second game against LA is on Monday, so you got Tuesday, Wednesday off, and then Chicago Saturday. So
yeah, right now the way the schedule's spread out, I don't know that you go to Husso too early. I mean, I'd rather give Bennington the time to get used to how the defense is playing in front of him, make whatever adjustments he needs to make, because he's our number one, and roll with him.
I would love to play him a lot. I really would. He hasn't played a full NHL season yet.
Yep.
So
I think as long as they're winning, you keep pushing them.
I'm behind that. I am, but I think I guess it really does depend on how it goes against Vegas and LA. It's probably a game by game decision. So Colorado and Chicago to close out the month, and then to start off November, you got another game against LA, and then so you got LA on Wednesday the 3rd of November, and then San Jose on Thursday the 4th. So Husso would definitely get one of those starts, probably against San Jose.
Yeah, San Jose, the dregs of the West, but
right,
curb stomping the Canadiens tonight.
Yeah. So yeah, if Bennington does run the table in the rest of October, then you would think that Husso would start on Thursday the 4th against San Jose. That'd be my guess.
Yeah.
Rapid fire tidbits from around the NHL. Vander Kane of the San Jose Sharks suspended for apparently passing a fake vaccination card. What the hell's wrong with him? Is he like the biggest train wreck in the NHL? He's a mess.
Yeah, somebody posted that picture from his days in Winnipeg when Dustin Byfuglien flipped him the bird as he was reaching out and said, "This makes so much more sense now."
Right. It's like, oh yeah, he's just an asshole all the time.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I mean, seriously, you're a professional athlete. Like, why are you gonna gamble with that? It's a free fucking shot. Get the fucking shot. and especially a guy who's got money troubles. Like, why
I
would
know.
you piss away any earnings?
Suspended
don't
21 games. He's gonna forfeit $1 million something, a couple million, or whatever it is.
That he doesn't have the forfeit because he's in bankruptcy.
No, I know, and he needs this money to earn this money. He's just who would sign this guy? Who? I'm besides San Jose. Let me look at so San Jose. Let's see here. Pull it up. Come on, cap friendly load. I want to see how much longer Kane has on his contract. He's been suspended, so he's not on the thing. Is he?
He should be. It's somewhere down to the bottom.
He's not. He's off of it for some reason.
Interesting.
Well, there he is. Yeah, suspended. So there's a section for suspended players. $7 million, and he's under contract for this season, next season, so through 24-25. So including this season, 4 more years. Although Cap Friendly says that this year his cap hit is 0. Why is that?
They get cap relief for the games that he's suspended since it's
maybe
10
it's
plus.
Yeah, maybe. I guess. You wouldn't think you get cap relief for a suspended player.
Yeah, not for somebody that does something as dumb as that.
I don't even know. He apologized and said he made a mistake. No, I mean, I don't think at this point, getting a fake vaccination card made, and obviously choosing not to get the vaccine, then that's not. I wouldn't classify that as falling under a quote mistake. That's just a general error in philosophy for him. It's not like he turned, he missed a turn on the interstate. Oh, I made a mistake. Missed a turn. No, this is his this is well thought out. Yeah, plenty of time to get a shot or whatever and comply or follow the guidelines, and he didn't do it. He tried to cheat the system. That's a planning. That's not a mistake. That's a massive error in thinking. Let's see. Jimmy Holland says in the YouTube chat, I know it's only 2 games in, but our defense still legitimately worries me. Offense is on fire, and Bennington looks great so far. Bill?
I'm pretty close to it. I think, we talked about who the whipping boys were going to be, and from a defensive standpoint, we said it more than likely would be Scandella, and I've already gone after him once tonight. I've not liked what I've seen from him. Maybe I think I would like to see some not so rigid thinking from the coaching staff and replace Scandella with Mikola and see how that looks. Have both Wallman and Mikola in. I thought Wallman has looked solid still.
I do too. I like Wallman.
Right now when I notice that Scandella's out there and gets isolated on one side, it's that's the scary part to me.
Also, there's Prunovich waiting in the wings too. So once he gets a little more seasoning, I think they would be more inclined to give him a look if they're still having some issues on defense. I personally, coming into the season, I was, I'm on the side of I think our defense is not getting enough credit for being. I think this defense can be good with a tweak. As Scandella does worry me. Bertuzzo, Scandella doesn't worry me as much. Bertuzzo doesn't worry me as much as Scandella does. That's odd to say, because what you're going to get with Bertuzzo. He's going to play
right, and that he's going to get bottom third minutes, right? But Scandella pairs with Parayko, and he's going to get shutdown minutes, and that's the part that worries me.
Yeah, and I think I agree with you. I like Mikkola a lot. I think he brings a lot more to the table than Scandella does. I think his upside is higher. Quick, big, lanky, Pronger-like wingspan kind of guy. Not quite like Pareko, but close. And then, like I said, Prunovich. So you could, and I think I said this during the preseason, the season preview show, that ideally you probably want to move on from Scandella, get rid of that contract, and as soon as Prunovich is ready to go, because then you got pieces you can mix and match. Set out Mikkola, Prunovich, work him in and out of the lineup. Then you got some fun tools to play with there. But that a lot depends on Prunovich developing. And man, how much does it suck that he got hurt last year and couldn't play? If he had played and not gotten hurt, how much farther he'd be along, and maybe he would have made the team out of camp. I don't know. So because he would have had more seasoning. Yeah, it would hopefully be that much better.
Yeah, that's that lost development really does sting. So,
but I think we'll see him fairly soon, maybe after 30, 40 games, maybe, depending on how things go with the defense, I guess. I don't know. And how he plays in the NHL. So we'll see.
Yeah, depending on injuries and the like.
Mm-hmm. Kucherov is out indefinitely with a lower body injury suffered in a 2-1 win versus Washington on Saturday. Stop me if you heard this before. So I guess this means that the Lightning will they'll use Kucherov's LTIR to trade for Eichel after his surgery. And then playoffs start about May 1st, so expect Kucherov to miraculously rejoin the team about that time. And then there'll be, probably 12, 13 million over the cap, something like that for playoffs.
Right. If that happens again, or other teams start to exploit that will get addressed in the next CBA, which isn't better for a few years out, but it's absurd.
It is, and I think a lot of teams have done it a little bit, a few million, but man, Tampa Bay was 17 million over during the playoffs. 17 million. That would buy you 2 world-class players.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez. So that's a big deal. Man, looking forward to tomorrow night's game. And that's all I got. You got any more to add, Bill, about stuff?
No, the only one other thing I would add for our rapid fire NHL tidbits announced today that Mike Bossy is in a battle with lung cancer.
Oh.
So stick taps to Big 22, and that guy was the prime goal scorer of the early 80s, and man, hate to hear that. Such a major part of that Islanders organization.
Yep. 50 goal scorer, Mike Bossy.
Yep.
I
have him in my my famous scrapbook. I actually have a clipping of him after he scored his 50th goal. So
nice. Isn't it funny how famous and infamous mean the same thing?
Right.
So.
And probably the best explanation of that of all time was from Three Amigos.
Yeah, right.
He's more than famous. He's infamous.
Do you know what it means to have a plethora?
Such a good movie.
I know. AS Doll in the YouTube chat says Mikkola is better than Scandella. Prunovich is better than Krug and much cheaper. I'm not a Krug hater. He had a subpar year last year, but I think he'll fit in better this year, especially with the way the team is supposed to be revamping the defensive strategies, which is supposed to play into their lack of size, to help their lack of size. So, which was a criticism, because Mayfield was one of the guys that was talked about as far as, hey, trade Tarasenko for Mayfield and get some size back there and some toughness, a good, solid, stay-at-home guy. But I think that with their revamping the thinking for defense to help out the smaller guys, I think Krug, who plays bigger than he is, he doesn't play he's a physical. He can't be a physical guy, as Robert Thomas found out in the playoffs. But I'm not down on Krug. So I mean, yet. I mean, if he plays this year like he did last year, then I'd be more inclined. But he's got a pretty long leash with me. He's a good player. He's got to come around here. We'll close it out. Support. Let me check Facebook here real quick, just see if there's any more. No more on Facebook. Okay. Support for Let's Go Blues Radio is brought to you in part by ID Life, the world's only truly personalized vitamin platform based on a health assessment of your DNA. Visit rockinthatidlife.com for more information. That's rockinthatidlife.com and get 10% off by texting Dustin at 636-393-8745 and tell him Let's Go Blues Radio sent you. And by Center Ice Brewery, St. Louis's hockey-themed brewery. Visit centericebrewery.com today to schedule a no-contact curbside pickup or to make a reservation in their tap room located at 3126 Olive Street in Midtown St. Louis. It's one of the best places to watch a Blues game. That's centericebrewery.com. Please drink responsibly. Speaking of Center Ice, which they announced this last week that they are getting expanded distribution. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, through the entire state of Missouri.
Yeah. So you folks that could previously not drink Center Ice Brewery beer may be able to soon.
Yeah. Now Steve just needs to work at getting it onto this side.
Yeah, it doesn't seem right if you can go possibly, I'm not sure how far it is going, but to say Kansas City, why you can't go 20 minutes east, right, across the river. So
right.
Let's see. That'll wrap up episode 6 of season 10 of the original. It is episode 6. Yeah. Episode 6 of season 10 of the original St. Louis Blues Hockey Podcast, Let's Go Blues Radio. Thanks for listening, and thanks to those who participated in the YouTube and Facebook live chats during the live show. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you. For Jeff Ponder, who is probably halfway to Toronto right now in his car.
Yeah, I'm thinking he's in southern Michigan by now.
Southern Michigan. He's making good time. For Jeff Ponder and Bill Day, I'm Kurt Price. Until next time, everyone, let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues.
The Chiefs are at home tonight against Cyanosport at the War Memorial at 8. Good seats are still available. I think that went very well.
Thank you for listening to Let's Go Blues Radio. Now take off, hosers.
I want you to have a heart attack and die so that we never have to do this shit again.
Well, there's 90 minutes of your life you'll never get back. Sorry.
St. Louis Blues, St. Louis Blues. Have you heard the news about our St. Louis Blues? They've only just begun, they're on their way to #1. Now there's no more blues for our St. Louis Blues.